Here's a new set of patch notes from the pre-patch podcast. Check it out.
Let's talk about the games that we've been playing and moving into that segment. And
Let's talk
Ugly.
about the game Sin's been playing.
Sin's been playing. Yeah.
God, well, I can't help it that I'm the one that's eclectically playing a bunch of different games. Like, I don't know what you want from me, bro. I'm trying to bring
We
variety.
can
to this
talk about
fucking
Armored
podcast.
Core again. I'll gush about Armored Core all day if
My.
we need.
Talk about Starfield too. I'll gush about Starfield all day.
Okay,
Can
too.
we
what
talk?
is
You
this-
know,
what
I
is
had
this
a
ugly game.
I had a
What is
beautiful
this?
segue that you guys have just
This game's
fucked and
actually
destroyed.
beautiful. Be nice.
It's
No,
called.
bro.
I'm
That
not
was
calling-
it was
I'm
it
not
was an
ugly.
ugly segue. It was
Hey,
pretty rough, ugly
Y'all
segue.
let me
bro,
y'all let
I'm
me
just
know
saying.
when you're done, and I will be more than
You're
happy to talk about
trying-
this
You're
game.
trying too hard about these these transitions here. Okay.
The game
All right,
is
go ahead,
called Ugly. And this was actually
Wait, it is?
showcased on yeah, it's Ugly. That's the name of the game. It's a UGLY. You ain't got no alibi, you ugly. Yeah, you ugly. But this was actually showcased on the OTK Game Expo. And that's the first time that I saw it. And I will say that when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be more of an actual roguelike. And that's not what this is. This is very akin to a game that you're just basically kind of exploring. It's a Metroidvania that I've yet to see combat, and I've played probably about 2 hours of it so far. But the game uses some very like cool features and gameplay elements that we've seen in the past. Like I don't want it to be thought that like this has not been ever done before, because games like Swapper have done this and things like that, but it uses it in a very cool way to be able to solve like puzzles. And so essentially you're playing as this person. You don't know anything when you first are dropped in, and you are you find this crystal that looks like it's like a mirror or whatever else, and it essentially allows you to project yourself into the other side of the world, and then like a shadow, and then you can in turn swap back and forth to traverse the world. And I love the art style. I love like the dynamics of the game, and it really is like it gives you some mind bending puzzles to try to figure out and kind of how to do it. But what's nuts about this game, right? And what really kind of blew me away, and you guys know that I usually don't give a shit about story, was in the very beginning, before you even get to the main start screen, the game tells you that in gaming, sometimes the most important things are to take a second to, relax, and to like take a breath and be in the moment. And so I was like, well, that's fucking weird. Like, what the fuck? Like, okay. And so then you start getting into the game, and it doesn't tell you, like, you can go through this, I'm assuming most of this entire game without really hitting on the story at all. But then and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody that is going to possibly play the game or whatever else, but there are certain things that you can do that can activate non vocal or written cutscenes, and which takes it to a whole nother level. And when I tell you that the cutscenes that happen and the things that you find and are starting, and in just the very small amount that I have already started to do, this game taps into some dark shit like that I was not prepared to really understand, or go into. I was just like, oh, this is gonna be like a really dope like Metroidvania roguelike. You need to be, not, I don't want to say you have to be in the right mindset to play the game, but you might leave out of it like kind of being like, yeah, that was not like a fun romp through the fucking forest. Like, it is kind of like a little bit darker element, which I guess by the name of Ugly, it makes sense.
Yeah, I like games kind of like that though. That style of storytelling kind of reminds me of like Sally Face,
Yeah.
which
Dude,
is one of
Sally
my
Face
favorite.
is so good.
It's got like that cutesy outward appearance, but then dark undertones.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of ways for you to like solve, to kind of, well, I don't want to say solve the puzzles, because I think that the way that you solve said puzzles and you get these keys to unlock doors to then, continue to traverse through the world. I think there's like kind of certain ways that you kind of go about it. Like whatever else, but you can see like you can really go far with your like mirrored image.
There's a game that you describing that reminded me of called The Longing, and it's a game I've always kind of wanted to try and play. And it's kind of a game that just like it's so isolated, and you're just one lonely kind of dude just strolling through this like world that you know nothing about. And there's like a bunch of different endings. You don't know anything, and like it takes it to the next level of like there's an actual ending that if you wait 400 days in like just isolation in real day time, that is how you beat the game. You just wait. Like it just it takes this like just mental aspect, you know, and it's just I don't know. It's a game I've never played, but I want to check out. So it just The Longing. You reminded me of that.
Yeah.
I really need to check that game out now.
I really, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but at the same time, like I do want to give its justice. There, it's like it feels good to play. It's very innovative. You know, and in my mind,
fun.
It really does have some really cool elements. Like this is a game that I think you hop into when you just want to play a puzzler, and you're not trying to like sweat at anything and really just kind of experience a game.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun. Like honestly, like well, okay, I want to say fun. It's enjoyable to play. I would say because of the mechanics. The story is I don't want to shy away from it. The story is, from what I have seen so far, it started off very dark. Like it's a dark story. Like I just want to make sure it is known about that. But
yeah, this kind of stuff I really like perspective bending style games. And they usually don't get the kind of recognition they deserve. Like there was that horror game that came out a few years ago, The Medium, I think is what it was called.
Yeah,
that you could like go back and forth between the two like different world, like two different versions of the character. Lords of the Fallen, that's about to come out next month, is also going to have that like perspective shifting thing between
there's one
worlds.
coming out like within the next couple like months. They just announced it. I can't remember what it was called, but it's like it does the same thing where you're the husband in the physical world, and then his like wife has died, but her ghost is still like following him, but you have to like shift between the two. I can't remember what the name of it was.
Yeah. Well, it's you know, even like Hellblade, right? Like that. Like though the game doesn't use like kind of any kind of crazy, I think, mechanics. The way that they tell a story and like what like the topic that they're hitting on around mental illness and how they portray it is done very, very well. You know, so this game, it's called Ugly. It really is a fun game. It's not ugly. It's actually a very beautifully drawn, very beautifully crafted game. Simple mechanics, but you know, puzzling at the same time. It's like $17 right now. I would absolutely spend the $17 on it. You can pick it up on Steam. You know, and it just works. It's fun. It's enjoyable.
It just works.
Yeah, Thanks, Todd Howard.
So, thanks, Todd.
Right?
Yep. Thank you for checking out the patch notes. If you enjoyed this small selection from our podcast, come join us every Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the full unfiltered pre-patch podcast. And check out our past shows on anchor.fm/prepatch podcast.